People who have witnessed a "there's not going to be a wedding" moment following a bachelor party. What went down?
Story 1. One of my best friend's wedding was canceled when he learned she slept with a stripper after her bachelorette party. Like 3 days after. He is happily remarried now with a kid. Worst part was that it was a destination wedding, honeymoon, and he couldn't get a refund, so we all went anyway, and he was super depressed the whole time. His family was all there too. Story 2. Obligatory not me. I worked at a music venue in the Detroit area that was also a popular wedding reception location. Came into work one week in the fall, when pretty much every weekend is booked solid with weddings, and noticed Saturday was open. No one scheduled. Talked to the wedding planner. She tells me the groom canceled. Odd. Talked to wedding planner's younger brother, who was our head bar back. He tells me that the groom, excited for the wedding, left work at lunch on Friday, bought a nice bottle of wine, and headed home to surprise his bride-to-be. Except, he was the one in for a surprise, as he walked into his new house to hear sounds coming from their bedroom. He walked in to find his bride in bed with another man, his dad. We tried to talk him into doing a big fuck you party because we'd never fill the space and there was no refund, but he declined. Story 3. A stripper came to my buddy Jack's bachelor party and proceeded to put a condom on a dildo and bang herself in front of the crowd. Asterisk, it was awesome. Asterisk, at the end of the night, Jack, the groom-to-be, was cleaning up a bit and put the condom wrapper in his pocket absent-mindedly. The next day, his fiancée Kristen was doing laundry and found the condom wrapper and freaked out, thinking that he had cheated on her. Jack tried to reassure her and explain the situation, that the stripper had used it on herself. Kristen is a really cool lady and takes it pretty well and calms down, but she can't quite shake the feeling. So, Jack tells her to call me to confirm what happened. Kristen calls and asks, "So what happened last night?" Mind you, I'm totally in the dark about the situation, and Jack and I had never discussed what we are supposed to tell Kristen, so I totally downplay it. Not much. The boys just had a few beers and smoked some cigars. I hear you, lying piece of shit. Click. UPS. Story 4. While working the night before a wedding at a hotel, the staff and I heard a loud scream from upstairs. Cue the bride screaming and sobbing, shouting, "The wedding's off!" While storming out the place, followed by the groom, stark Bollock, naked, covering his nether regions with his hands, apologizing profusely. Turns out she caught the mother of the bride and the groom shagging. Safe to say we had an easy shift the next day, as we didn't have a wedding to cater for. Story 5. My friend had been with his fiancée of 8 years when she got pregnant. Fast forward 8 months, and we decide that because they are basically common law married, we need to throw him a bachelor party. So we go to the nearest big city, and he's abused by strippers, and we're all quite drunk when he gets the call that his fiancée is in labor. None of us is in any state to drive. We end up calling a cab and paying over $300 to get him to the hospital as soon as possible. My friend is stumbled down drunk when he walks into the delivery room smelling like strippers, with a dick drawn on his face and covered in glitter. I was positive that was the end. They've been married 7 years and just had their second child last week. Story 6. My cousin runs a popular upscale marriage venue and always tells the story way better than this, so here is a rough overview. The groom's mom was a heavy drinker and got belligerent when she drank, so understandably the bride wanted the groom to try to limit her drinking. The afternoon before the wedding, the bride arrives to see groom's mom smashed with the groom himself giving her beers. Next thing my cousin knows, she was there to oversee preparations. The bride and groom are in a straight-up fist fight, which leads to an Anchorman-style street fight between members of both families in the parking lot. Apparently, they recently scheduled a new day for it. I can't imagine the tension there. Story 7. There's a story that goes around. I can't vouch for the truth of it or not. Call it an urban legend. First of all, if you've never been to a Jewish wedding, the way it goes is, first they have the reception, with the bride and groom in separate rooms, then the ceremony, then family goes away to sit for pictures while the guests sit down to eat. Then the bride and groom come in and the dancing starts. In between the ceremony and the pictures, though, is what's called yichud, which doesn't really translate, but it approximately means isolation together. The bride and groom lock themselves in a room and are observed by two reliable witnesses outside the door to have stayed therein long enough to have consummated the marriage, although nobody actually does it there. It's considered déclassé. This is what actually solemnizes the marriage. Well, one of three things. The other two are signing a marriage contract, called a ketubah, and transfer of a piece of chattel property, traditionally a ring, though it can be other things, from the groom to the bride. So, after the yichud, the bride comes out and announces, "Sorry everyone, the wedding's off. We'll be getting a divorce, and we're returning all the gifts, except for the bedroom set, where I caught my new husband trying it out with my sister last week." So, there are far worse stories here in this very thread. What makes this one noteworthy? Well, think about this. She knew about the episode before the wedding. Why'd she go through with it? Because under Jewish law, if you've once been married to a woman, even after divorcing her, you aren't allowed to marry her sister at any time until your first wife has died. By going through with the ceremony, she in effect locked her sister out of ever being able to get together with her soon-to-be ex. Story 8. I'm a musician. I work on an infamous street for drunken revelry and debauchery. One night, a bachelor party came in around the same time as a bachelorette party. The show I work with does special things like funny songs for special events, so I bring them both up at the same time to do something special. In the middle of this, on stage, they start making out. And they do not stop. I finish my routine as best I can and get them off stage. Later, as I'm looking around the audience, my eye catches on them again. They're in the back corner just going at it, while their respective parties hang out up near the front of the stage. And they are really getting into it. Hands down pants and up skirts. At some point they disappear. I take a break and head to the restroom. It's locked. I hear a woman screaming from within. Not moaning, not sighing. Screaming, "Fuck me harder." I sit in the lounge area outside the bathroom for about 10 minutes. The bachelor and bachelorette come out, looking a bit disheveled, but not too bad. They see me and immediately want to chat. For some reason, people always want to get to know the musicians here. There's curiously no guilt on them at all. I have to piss like a racehorse, but this is too good to pass up. Come to find out, they both are getting married to other people, but know each other from having lived in the same small town of about 5,000 all their lives. They ran into each other for the first time since high school graduation at our bar, and old feelings emerged that neither had ever attempted to act on. They don't stay long, and as they leave I hear the bachelor say, "I have my own room, let's go there." The rest of the party stays till the show is over, partying hard and having fun. Possibly the best bachelor/bachelorette parties I've had. Usually bachelor parties get too drunk, and bachelorette parties devolve into crying fits and arguments. Anywho, I wind up seeing the bachelor and bachelorette together at our bar and out in the street every night for 4 nights. Always holding hands and are getting frisky. They came back a little over a year later. They got married here in our town to each other instead of who they were engaged to that fateful night. Most of their respective bachelor/bachelorette show up for the event. With this story, I always feel torn. Did I participate in the destruction of 2 relationships, or did I facilitate the meeting of 2 soulmates? Story 9. Not me or anyone I know personally, but in Detroit there's an AM radio show called Dave and Chuck the Freak. The show is pretty much what you expect, dick and fart jokes mostly. But they had a question to the listeners one morning on this exact topic. The story went that the caller had gotten super drunk at his bachelor party and some of his groomsmen sodomized him with liquor bottles and took photos. The caller had even stated that he brought this up to his fiancée and she basically said, "Get over it and don't ruin my big day." Needless to say, having this info out on the Metro Detroit radio waves caused quite a backlash against the groomsmen and fiancé, even ending in some kind of legal battle if I recall. Anyway, the caller received very positive support from the community to cut it off with his fiancée. There was even a trending hashtag on Twitter for a while after. Story 10. Friend invites me to his wedding. He and fiancée are fairly poor, have lived together for years. They're both semi-disabled. His is PTSD, hers is physical, and on fixed incomes, and live in a somewhat expensive area. They have 3 gift registries: Target, Macy's, Crate and Barrel, and a huge invite list, over 300 friends, family members. All the stuff on the registries is standard stuff like towels, coffee cups, flatware, etc. Anyway, people fly out, get ready for wedding. 2 days before wedding, his bachelor party and friend gets drunk and admits that she's not really his fiancée. They are just roommates and they have no intention of getting married, they just needed the stuff. They're going to cancel the wedding tomorrow and keep all the gifts. Had to protect him from getting his ass kicked by about 24 people. Then had to have the fiancé come clean to everyone since he was too hungover. They ended up returning most of the gifts to people, but a surprising number of people let them keep the gifts. As his grandfather said, "If you needed these things that badly to lie like this, you must have been very desperate."